Hello, everybody. My name is Fisal, and this is 5 minutes with Fisal. Today, we'll be talking about the youth's role in today's politics. Joining me today is Ahmad Fikri bin Ahmad Fisal. He's 22 years old. He's from Malaysia, currently studying at University of Michigan, studying actual science and history. So he's taking a double major. However, his interest in politics, especially in Malaysia, is extremely profound. He has posted numerous articles in Malaysian Insider talking about the status quo of Malaysia's politics. So first of all, thank you, Fikri, for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome. How are you, Adi?
I'm very, very good. So now, first of all, when we talk about politics, a lot of youths nowadays they don't give any heed to what is going on in our politics. I just want to know your view. What is the biggest reason why youths are particularly not interested in politics, and what can we do as uh, youths ourselves to actually help our friends to be more to participate more in today's politics?
Well, actually, I wouldn't say that there's lack of awareness. I mean, there is, but that's not to be confused with a lot of you not interested in today's politics. In fact, if you observe from our social media, Facebook obviously, you can see that a lot of youth, me included, are actually taking a lot of interest in Malaysia political scene. But I understand your question. I mean, there is a perception that a lot of youths not interested in our countries, and I wouldn't say that it's a clear divide between the interested urban youth population versus an uninterested rural youth population. I think it's an equal divide uh, in those two uh, regions, in both urban and rural areas. It's just that the perception that the rural youth is not interested in politics is that I think it's because mainly of the language barrier. Is because that a lot of our social media right now and the rising popularity of alternative media like Malaysian Insider, Malaysia Kini, Free Malaysia Today, and whatever social media platforms you can name today, it's mainly in English. So it's hard to be read and understood by the rural population, which predominantly uses Malay. So I think language barrier is the primary thing actually.
You
And
yeah.
second thing, sorry, sikit lagi.
I
And
see.
the second thing is it's the perception that the youths are not needed in politics, in terms of Malaysian politics, and there's little room for the youth's voice to be heard by the leaders. So I guess that's why there's lack of interest by the youths in politics.
You said about we see a lot of uh, youth nowadays using social media as a platform to voice out their opinions towards politics nowadays. Do you believe that social media has actually helped youth to actually participate more in the political view and the political landscape?
Oh, definitely, because before social media, the only way to receive and synthesize information, especially regarding the country's political issues, is through, well, mainly newspapers, right?
Yeah.
But through the advancement of social media, information is easily accessible, and without even flipping the pages of the newspaper, even like anyone, a student or whoever, youths included, or anyone basically, can just access this information and voice out their opinions. But then the danger is that a lot of information could be skewed or could be false, So, well, the danger is that opinions themselves are immature opinions. I would say, like lacking the the, the, the proper context of some issues. But I guess if, in terms of information access, it has improved through social media, definitely, especially to the youth.
Um, how talking about social media again? How does social media change the way we see politics in Malaysia or in any countries uh, in question?
Well, in a country like Malaysia, in a country like Malaysia, which is typical of any other Southeast Asian countries, or in fact typical of any developing countries in the Middle East or in Africa, before social media, our information regarding the political landscape of our countries are mostly through newspapers, as I mentioned before, and newspapers could be controlled by the government, by the ruling powers. So this, in a way, filtered the information, has the potential to filter information and also uh, um, control what information goes to the public, received by the public. And through social media, it's harder for the government to have a monopoly on the information regarding political issues. And so with social media, I would say that information has been more widespread, more unbiased in terms of the government. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you previously said about one of the reason why youths are uh, particularly not interested in politics is due to the many restrictions imposed by the government. What do you think? What would be the main reason why government implements such law, such as the Auku law?
Uh, well, the most obvious reason is always that the government is always s- suspicious. It's not usually suspicious towards the young population because we have seen in world history, like students especially, or generally the youth population, the young population, do have the power to influence political outcomes, and this was seen in countries like Iran, where students successfully overthrew their king, and also in some other countries as well. So this, even in Malaysia in the 60s and 70s, there's a very very radicalized section portion of the student population, especially in Malaya, where riots and demonstrations occurred at a um, uh, very well radical or very dramatic almost, so it scares the government, and because and so a solution from the government's point of view is just by controlling the activities of the students. But of course, this creates a bad negative side effect, which is students are not encouraged to be critical in their thinking, and this is what our country is trying to change right now.
Okay, last question of the day before we end this interview. Uh, as youth like you and I, what can we do to actually spark the interest, the participation from our friends, or even our families or brothers and sisters, to be more involved in today's politics? Because at the end of the day, we are the future leaders of Malaysia. We are the one that will be shaping how Malaysia will be in the future.
Well, I think social media is a very good way to start with. The problem is that a lot of uh, like articles or opinions voiced in social media by people in our generation is mostly are political. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with being political in your opinions. It's just that we need also, in between our political views, we need something more neutral, something more moderate. So I think that people, like, we need more moderate youth who are willing to voice out their opinions so that other less informed youths can learn more about some issues. And also, the language barrier, as I mentioned before, is also a huge thing, especially in There's a lot of youths in social media who are still having trouble reading articles in English. So I think that another thing you can do is in Malay or Chinese or Tamil, any other language, just so that it reaches a wider audience.
All right, okay. Thank you so much, Fikri, for sharing your time with us to discuss more about today's youth
No
and
problem.
politics. All right, thank you so much. Next, on next week's 5 minutes with Adipaz, we'll be talking about will Malaysia be able to embrace football? My name is Adipaz. All right, man. Hey, thanks so much, bro.